episode on Spotify. You guys are interested in the business industry, so this is the perfect episode for you guys to learn more about business. Maybe you guys want to be entrepreneurs or businessmen or businesswomen, or maybe you guys want to take on a corporate job. So you're gonna be learning a lot of insights. You're gonna be receiving lots of values from this episode. But if you guys are new to the clubhouse, you're in the right place if you want to become successful, receive free mentorship about the various industries from top tier professionals, and reach all your dreams. Here at the clubhouse, we delve deeper into the lives of successful individuals in different career paths and how you can do the same. So, welcome to the clubhouse where successful people are born and made to inspire others. But before we introduce our special guest for today, my name is Miguel Mendoza with my partner.
Zach Pena. So today we have an episode where Miguel and I are really stoked to talk about, and not to be biased, but it's because Miguel and I are interested in entering this field, which is the business space. So our guest today is the president of Greate Image group of companies, and Greate Image has won numerous awards such as Most Outstanding Photo Studio, Number One Photo Studio, Most Excellent, Most Outstanding Photo Studio and Services. Our guest also won Entrepreneur of the Year award. Please welcome Bob Palomo.
Hi guys.
Hi,
Hi
Tito
guys.
Bob.
I'm so happy to
Hi,
be
Tito
here.
Bob.
Wow. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be speaking out with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for
this time. At least I have something to do during this lockdown.
yeah.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We're really excited, looking forward to what you
I
have
am
to
excited.
share.
I am excited. I'm jumping up and down.
Yeah, so Tito, how has your journey been like in business? Like, what's your story? So, where did you start in business, and where did you arrive now?
Actually, I started in business. I used to work for Ayala, one of the Ayala companies, which was Ayala AIDC, and this was a securities trading firm, and I was one of the money market traders there, and I was there for 2 years, and I really got a lot of exposure in the financial world by working with them, and that really set the course for me to 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 set off my business career. Uh, Along the way, after I left Ayala after 2 years, I joined another company, which was Ubix Corporation, and I was selling because I felt that the salary in Ayala was kind of low, and I wanted to make more money. And one of the ways you can make more money is by selling stuff, you know. So because the commissions were quite huge, so I joined this company called Ubix Corporation under Bert Bravo, who was also a former city banker and an attorney, and also went to UP College of Law. And he was my mentor actually for in business. So anyway, I did very well when I went to work for him, and I sold a lot of these copying machines. You know, in the old days, copying machines were the thing, you know, because there were no personal computers in that day. Wow, giving away my age. But this was in the 80s and 70s and 80s, you know. So because there were no personal computers, there were no printers. So everyone had to type. You know, people. If anyone wanted a duplicate of anything, they went to the Xerox machine. And so this is the machines that I was selling uh, to corporations. I was pretty successful there in Ubix, and I won the Salesman of the Year award there also.
Congratulations.
And after spending around 5 years in Ubix, I wanted to actually, you know, this Bert Bravo. He's a tough boss, man. He's one of these what they call A personalities. You know, really
Yeah.
tough. And by that mean to say he was a terror. He would just scare the wits out of you every day. He would so demanding, so you know, he's like Duterte, but times two. You know, he would just cuss you out all the time. You know,
Yeah.
and so and he would always, if you do one small mistake, he would always, make me feel like 2 inches tall. So when I had enough of him, I decided I can't work for anybody anymore. If this is how my boss is gonna be,
Yeah.
I don't want to be under person anybody who will treat you like dirt. So I decided that I can't work anymore in a corporation because I had the best of both worlds before. I was working for Ayala, and wasn't really happy with the salary there. I was doing well in UVix, but I didn't want. But the money was good, but I didn't want to have a boss. So I decided to go on my own, where I can be my own boss, and I think that's pretty important. Be your own boss, where you have
Yeah.
your own time, where you have your own sweat and tears, and you can see the result of all your effort come to fruit. So I decided to go out on my own. My first venture actually was having copy centers. These copy centers. I don't know if they have. If you go to National Bookstore, there's a copy center, Xerox center. I used to own these things in the National Bookstore things. I had many outlets in National Bookstore, and that's how I got my first break. I had these copy centers in National Book, and they were making a lot of money. National Bookstore saw that I was making so much money, they decided to take away the copy center business on their own and do it on their own, take it away from me because I was making a lot of money Xeroxing, um, offering Xeroxing services to other people. Can you imagine you pay 20 cents and you charge my cost is around 20 cents, and then these I would charge a peso 50 for a copy. So I was really making a lot of money then. And when some days I'd make 10,000 copies a day. So it was really that was really a profitable business for me, having a copy center on my own. And I had a lot of them in all the national bookstores. So if you multiply that, I was really had a lot of cash during those days. So then, but I wanted to expand further, and so one day I heard that you guys weren't born when the first SM Cubao was built, right? The first SM Cubao was built in, I think, 1984 in Cubao, and this was before SM City, SM Mega Mall. Um, After Makati, of course, but after Makati, the next SM was SM Cubao. So I heard that they were offering spaces in SM Cubao, and I applied for space there in SM Cubao. But they said to me, if you want a space in SM Cubao, uh, you have to put up a certain kind of business. And I said, yeah, sure. What kind of business do you want me to put up? And they said, um, they want me to put up a photo business. You know, I, in my passion, in my zeal to get a space in SM, I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll put up a photo business if that's what you want. And so they said, okay, um, we'll give you the space. We'll give you the space. And lo and behold, I got the space. I was so lucky. I got the space in SM Cubao, and that started the first chain of SM of Great Image. By the way, Great Image refers to uh, the first chapter in Genesis where it says that we are ourselves are made in the image of God. So actually, when I heard that, when I read that, I said, "Wow, this is a great image." So that God had made us in the image of God, and so that's the reason why I called it Great Image. So it's really in reference to that Genesis passage that I read there. So that's just a sideline that I want you guys to know that it's Great Image the name came from that Genesis passage in the Bible. So yeah, so ever since we got that space in SM Cubao, every time I always made sure that even if we were losing money, because in the first couple of years we were losing money, uh, I always made sure that I paid my rent on time. I wanted to establish a good track record with SM, so uh, they wouldn't. So every time they would put up a mall, because they would tell me, oh, after SM Cubao comes SM North EDSA, and after North EDSA there's SM Center Point. I heard that from them, and then I said, hey, I better keep my record on my financial record with SM good, so that or outstanding, so that every time an SM comes up, they'll include me in their list of uh, clients. So that's what I did. I made sure that my record was spotless, and so the record speaks for themselves. So every time an SM goes up, they give me a space. So after all of these SMs, we have almost 100 stores, that most of them located in SM. Thanks to, of course, not only our spotless record in SM, but of course to the hard work of my team, especially my wife and all the employees. It's not just due to my effort. Of course, I have to acknowledge everyone there was in the beginning. You know, so in the beginning, of course, uh, I was the jack of all trades, because in our shop in SM Cubao, I was the secretary, I was the driver, I was the clerk, I was the photographer, I was everything. Because I couldn't really afford to hire uh, other people. At most we were just a staff of three, a secretary and a photographer. So we started out that way for about a year. So in that 1 year, uh, it was really a lot of sleepless nights of just making sure that all the all the our customers were happy. You know, how did we gain market share in the beginning? By actually by undercutting the prices of all our competitors, actually. And so they noticed that, and so because I really didn't have a record to speak of as far as photos said, as far as the photo business was. And so the only reason I was able to get a lot of clients in the beginning is by charging a little bit less than what my competitors did. So that's my journey. I was first a bank guy or a finance guy with Ayala. And then I was a salesman for Ubix. And then I was a copy center operator. And now ultimately I'm an entrepreneur. And that's me. I want to be really known as an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs really take a gamble. When I first applied in that shop in SM, I didn't know nothing about the photo business. I didn't know anything about it, but I just looked at my competitors and saw what they were doing, and I said I could do this too. I could do this too. I just have to hire the right people to make sure that they taught me the ropes. And lo and behold, luckily we got some people from the outstanding studios at that time, and they agreed to join my staff. So it was also a learning process for me in the beginning, very much a learning process, because I didn't know. Again, I was very innocent as far as the photo business was concerned, and I only knew photography as a hobby, because I used to have my own cameras. I had attended a few photo seminars, even though it was a hobby I had attended. I remember seminar I attended with under the father of 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 Valenciano, the father of that singer. What's his name? Anyway, this famous singer, Valenciano.
Gary.
Gary. His father was a photographer, and I attended a few courses under him. And uh, that, but at that time when I took those courses, the SM wasn't offered to me. But I was interested in photography. But as a business, I didn't know anything about it. But as an art form, I did know about it. So uh, that really emboldened me a little bit to take that offer of SM to 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 open that photo shop. Actually, they were the ones who decided what shop I was to open, not me. But if I had my choice, it wouldn't have been photography, really, because I wasn't really that familiar with SM. But they were the ones who called the shots. If you want the shot, if you want to join SM, this is what we want, because we're lacking in our product mix to that particular and they're lacking in that product mix to their customers. So my hats off to them, because they really know what to offer to their customers. So after SM Cubao, we opened SM City, and then we opened, which did quite well. And in our first forte in photography, we're offering events, what they call weddings, and that was what the thing that we offered for initially, just doing weddings and special events, just cover them, cover those things. And sometimes we hit as many as 15 weddings Saturday, or sometimes on special occasions we hit as much as 25 weddings and in
Wow.
one day. Can you imagine that? And so that took a lot of stress on me, and because you want to do a wedding, it has to be perfect. They expect so much from you, even though your prices are low. They One mistake and you're in deep trouble. So I had to uh, make sure that the people that we hired for these weddings were very capable, and that's the way very capable and very trustworthy. Again, we hired a lot of the personnel from our competitors, and that's how we got to do all of these weddings. Then after the wedding phase, we got into studios. So that's the way we made the transition from doing just weddings to photo studio. But nowadays we studio is still popular. Uh, Let me just put it to you this way: in every home, there's a kitchen, right? And in spite of having a kitchen in every home, there's an analogy. Uh, People want still, even though they can cook their own food, and they have their own iPhone, which takes special or great photos too. Why is there still a need for photos? Well, just like the analogy with restaurants is, just like restaurants, people go to restaurants to get better food. In the same matter, when people, uh, even though they have iPhones, they go to photo studio for, of course, better photos. So that's the analogy I want to make. Can you imagine? People always tell me, isn't that a dead business? Uh, Photo studio, because every Tom, Dick, and Harry has a phone in his camera. Well, maybe that's not true. The analogy is, uh, the more they want to go to a photo studio because they want to have excellent photo pictures, and to get excellent photo pictures, you have to go to a photo studio, right? And a photo
100%.
studio is not only for taking pictures; it's also marks an occasion. For example, uh, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas or New Year's reunions, birthdays, graduation days. On those special occasions, people find it more, they want to mark those occasions by having a special photo. And what better way to have a special photo than going to a photo studio? So on those days, we do quite well. There's a special occasion days, like, for example, on New Year's Eve, day one, where they have all these family reunions. Family reunions are a tradition in the Philippines. So those are the days that they're like that, and so those days we do quite well. So photo studios are not going to become passe. On the contrary, they are part of the Philippine landscape, and I
Definitely.
think it will be forever. So it's definitely, the point is I'm trying to make is, in spite of all those iPhone cameras, well, our business is doing quite very well. See, so that's my transition from again, from now, I'm a little bit semi-retired. My wife's taking the reins of the business, and I'm more doing more on other things to bide my time. So yeah, that's it. I hope you found that not too boring. And the things that I think you can learn is that sometimes you really have to um, take a take a take a gamble on yourself. Believe in yourself to make that first step. You have to say to yourself, yes, I can do it. Yes, I want that. Yes, I want to do it successfully. Yes, I want to prove to others that even though I may not be the expert, I can gain expertise by learning from others and eventually master the field and be successful in that particular endeavor, no matter what it is. If you follow those steps, if you really have the guts, you can do it. You can do it no matter what the field is. And I think that's what Great Image really taught me, is that those particular things that you really have to really take the first long jump to something. Like I said in the beginning, I had to take that long jump. I didn't want to become an employee all my life, because all my friends would tell me, or especially my mom, you never become rich by being an employee. You'll never, you'll never go anywhere if you don't set it up on your own. And I believe in that. I believe in that. And unless you do it on your own, you're not going to make it big time, you know. And another thing that guided me to the success is that in the early days of in my adventure, every night I would cry myself to sleep, not because of the workload, but I would cry to our Lord and Savior, please help me success in this particular endeavor that I had. I remember the first couple of weeks of Great Image, I would plead with our Lord and Savior to help me, to guide me, give me His wisdom in doing this. And ultimately, of course, I credit Him for giving me the courage, the passion to succeed. Without that, I really know deep in my heart, if I didn't come to my Lord, I would not be speaking to you today. So those three things: have the courage, ask guidance from our Almighty, and have the courage and the guts, really, to take that first step, no matter what endeavor it is. Because you know the mind of a guy, a man is always quenching for knowledge. Me in the early days, I was always quenching for knowledge on how to succeed. You know. And that's my journey. You know? That's really is my journey, to put it in mildly. It's what's guided me through these last couple of years. From all of these years, I mean. Are you there, guys?
Yes, Tito.
Okay.
Definitely, yes, Tito. That was such an inspiring experience. First of all, hats off to you. You're definitely killing it in the photography industry, and there's so much valuable insights that
Yeah.
Miguel and I gained from what you did. First of all, from going through the nitty gritty experience of going in the corporate world, from stepping out of your comfort zone and entering the photography business, having no clue on this photography business. And of course, putting God first, putting God at the center of everything that you do. And it's really amazing, Tito. Really, really inspiring. So I
Oh,
just
that's
I just have a question to ask because there's been this thought going in my head on whether I should enter the corporate world first to gain experience from an established company, or would you rather have someone start their own business already right ahead and
you know,
do everything
well,
from
of course,
scratch?
from you know, the- basing it on my own experience, I would really uh, advise you, your listeners, if they're to get some corporate experience. In fact, what they always say is if you get 2 years experience under a corporate uh, uh, roof, that would be great. That would be great because then there's so many things to learn under the corporate roof. First is the corporate etiquette. Under Ayala, I learned one important thing is that when you give your word to somebody, you can't change it. Once you say done deal, yeah, it's a done deal. You have to. You never can't say, oh, pare, that joke lang. You can't say that. That's one of the best things I've learned from Ayala is done deal, done deal. It doesn't matter whether you've written 100 contracts or had 100 signatories. Once you say done deal to somebody, it's a done deal through
Yeah.
thick or thin. And I think that's what you really have to learn under in the corporate world. Second, in the corporate world is you need to the another advantage to corporate is you have to broaden your, like what you said, you have to broaden your contacts. You've got to, you just can't go out on your own thinking that you know all the right people. Because I was a money market trader in Ayala, I got to know a lot of uh, uh, the right people to contact. Especially I got to know the owner of National Bookstore. If I didn't know the owner of National Bookstore, I couldn't have approached him for those copy centers, that we were going to put up there. So, so in other words, it's a bridge for you to broaden your horizon as far as knowing the right person. Number three, when you go to the corporate world, of course, it teaches you about the morals of of hard work, because if it's a really good corporation, they will teach you that hard work pays off in promotions, in bonuses, in uh, that you really and in bonuses and stuff like that. So one thing I learned in Ayala is that if you work a lot of overtime, you get noticed. You get noticed. If
Definitely.
once you get noticed, hey, this guy is good. He's working his tail off, and so that's how I really got noticed in Ayala. So um, you really have to put in the extra sweat and tears for you to get promoted. But at the same time, I noticed that if you put in sweat and tears on your own, that's the way it's the road to success. It's not an easy road, no matter what it is. Don't everybody tell you that the road to success is an easy one. It's not. The road is paved with all detours. You know that detours left and right. It's a detour to the basement sometimes. It's detour to the left, detour to the right, before you're going to reach the yellow brick road to success. It's never going to be easy. So that's what I learned in Ayala. Because in the beginning in Ayala, I took it easy. I thought it was just just a 9 to 5 job, and then they didn't give me a hoot. And I found when I found out that they counseled me and they said you got to do this and do that if you want to succeed. That's the time ever since they told me that, that's the time I worked my ass off to working in the corporate world. So my advice is, and another thing, if you don't have any seed money, you really can't start a business on your own. From right off from college.
Right.
My dad, he didn't give me any seed money. Uh, in fact, my allowance stopped the moment I graduated from college. He wouldn't give me anything. He said, you have to make it on your own. And so that really determined uh, for me to really to work first, because I had a lot of Barcada at that time, a lot of group mates, and they would always making me want to go out and have a few beers and stuff like that. But I couldn't join them because I had no money, So and I didn't want them to pay for me. So that's really another reason why I really decided to go in the corporate world, because I really needed money to
And,
to to start my life. And
and
another
I
thing,
think.
yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Tito. Go ahead.
go ahead, go on.
Yeah, I think the fact that your dad didn't give you any seed money, it actually pushed you to
Good.
actually try to achieve and be determined to reach your goals.
Yes, yes. I don't know if we're doing it the right way now by by spoiling our kids and stuff like that. But I hope that they, in spite of that, some kids have it easy in life, they would still know that the right way is the way of sweat, hard work and tears, hard work and sweat and tears. That's the only way really to it. And so corporate corporate world, yes, no. But if you want to, I really can't see the justification for starting it out on your own, unless you're uh, really such an expert that you really can start out on your own. But I really think 2 years at minimum in the corporate world would be great. Would be great. Okay.
Love that.
Okay, Tito. So I really like your advice when you said, like, basically to everyone listening, you shouldn't make a promise if you can't commit to that promise. Like, whatever industry you're in, you should, like, if you're gonna make a promise, make sure you fulfill it, so that I think that's also proper ethics in every industry. And so, Tito, I'd like to ask you a question because I remember you mentioned a while ago that you gained market share because you reduced your costs. So, like, my question for you is, and like this is to everyone listening also, like, what ways would you recommend to like improve your cost leadership?
Cost leadership.
Yes, Tito. Like, how do you reduce your costs, and like so that you try to reduce your costs so you're at the advantage compared to your competitors.
Actually, when I say cost leadership, is I mean to say our selling price. So if the selling price was of our competitor was uh, was 5,000, I would sell it for a little bit below, or say 4,005. So the reason for that, for the cost cut, is that because at that particular time, when you're entering a business, you really have to get noticed. You really have to get noticed. And one of the ways of getting noticed is was having a lower cost, right? So of course, when I say lower cost, you still have to make a little money for you to survive. So I just made sure that uh, the selling price of the competitor who I wanted to undermine was the leading the competitor at that time. So if the leading competitor is selling at 5,000, you sell it a little bit lower, say 4,000 or 4,005. So don't just bet the benchmark should always be the number one when you're doing this. To when you should always The benchmark should be you're the number one person in that particular field or industry. That's assuming that, of course, that uh, your quality should be superior to the one of your competitor. If you lower the price and people say, "Oh, that's why your price is lower because it's crap." No, no, no. You have to say to your customers, my price is lower because it's just lower, but it is superior. So
Right.
uh, no, that's the number one thing. Always sell on quality. Quality, quality, quality. Don't sell on price, because if you sell on price, you that's a doomed strategy, because your competitors can always match your price. But if you sell on quality, quality is subjective and it's very difficult to match. So that's the maxim that I follow all throughout my life, is that try to always offer your customers the best, the best, the
I
best.
love that.
Did you say that?
Tito, in terms of the youth, for example, because I myself, I really want to pursue business and entrepreneurship, but I find myself focusing on a lot of things at once. Like example, I'm doing graphic designing and or I'm doing the podcast. Also, I also have a side hustle when it comes to modeling. Would you recommend for me to just focus on one thing and build my foundation there and go all in on that? Or should I diversify what I'm doing, considering that I'm still at a young age? Maybe I'm still not so sure on which field in business I want to get into yet. What would you recommend for that?
You know, you're still pretty young, so I wouldn't really want to limit your career choices at this time by just focusing on one. But all I can say is my advice to you is go into related fields, the fields that you think you are will be interested in the future. When it comes to modeling, the sideline there is advertising and public relations. So you can go in those related fields. What was the other one that you were into?
I was also into graphic designing, the
Graphic design.
podcast.
Graphic design. There's like again, there the field is wide open for that. It's graphic design is a very desired field today, especially when it comes to social media, advertising, everything. So if you're a really great graphic designer, they pay big money for that. Really, really big money for that. If you're really great graphic design, I mean, not just I mean, graphic designer for the high end. For let me say for for motion pictures, for stuff like that. So I wouldn't. But on the other side, okay, I know what you're trying to say. If should you master a particular field once, listen. In the beginning, I was just like you. I had a lot of things on my plate. I wanted to bite into everything that came into my way, but I didn't know which one tasted the best and which one I wanted to keep in my in keep for the long run. My advice is uh, give yourself a timeline. When you give yourself a timeline, you know that it's time to let go. When I reach that particular date, and focus on the on the few that you've chosen. You can't do it forever. What I'm trying to say, you have to give yourself, like any project in life, you have to have a timeline. And so you're still going to college, right? Yeah, you're still going to
Yes,
Yeah.
college,
Tito.
Second year.
second year. So you still have uh, at least another 5 years before you really decide on really what field of endeavor that you really want to dedicate yourself to. You know,
Yes, Tito.
don't be too hard on yourself. Enjoy your youth, man. That's another advice. Enjoy your youth. You're only gonna enjoy your youth once, and
Right.
and in today's youth, you've got all the opportunities in front of you. It's up to
Yeah.
you to take advantage of all those opportunities that are presented to you. When I say take advantage of it, I mean to say, um, uh, open your mind to get involved in each particular opportunity that comes your way. You know, not only financially but uh, emotionally. You know. Okay.
Yes, Tito. Yeah, that's really really good advice. I'd like to ask you one more question, Tito.
Yeah.
Like, would you recommend like someone who's aspiring to be a businessman to like take an MBA if they have the means to?
Yes. Yes. You know, Tita Toots took her MBA at Harvard University in Boston. You know, and
Harvard.
yeah, of course, I'm not saying to go to Harvard, but when she took that university course, it opened her eyes to so many things in great image. You know, so and she took her master entrepreneurship in AIM. So uh, I think. Uh, if you have the means to go to take the masters, do it. It really uh, it it sort of like it's like the final missing patch in the in the whole wall of bricks that is needed. The masters. It really complements you to be a great businessman, especially if you go to one of the higher education uh, uh, institutions like AIM or the ones like abroad. No, take it. Um, the great image benefits from all of these courses that Mom Toots took. Yes, yes.
And it,
We benefited a lot, from it. Okay, so
and it
don't, don't,
makes you
don't, don't
learn.
don't think it's just a waste of time, or
Yeah.
think of it as that you really, again, it's also you learn a lot, and of
Right.
course you meet a lot of people there, and you broaden your contacts also. When you
Yeah.
go to
And you don't
yeah,
only gain knowledge, but I think you also gain wisdom if you take an MBA. But then,
yeah.
Tito, we have a very fun question because this is like in the minds of like our generation. So the question is, and we want to know your advice: love or career?
Question?
Because a lot of people, because Tito, a lot of people are thinking about that in our generation.
Love or career?
Or yeah.
You can't live on love alone. You need both. Actually, both of
Go
them.
for love.
You
Not for inspiration. You need inspiration to be successful, so you need love.
know,
Right.
And if you want to survive, you need career.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you need both. What we're trying to say, you need both. You just can't have one without the other. You have to be
Great
successful.
advice.
You can't, you can't, you can't have love without having some sort of success.
Right.
So you
Okay.
would
Right.
recommend Tito to go through your career from the start with someone that you love and admire.
Right. Of course. Of course. Of course. You know what they say. A happy wife is a happy life.
Happy life.
Happy life, happy life. Yeah, so Tito, to wrap this episode up, we just like to say thank you so much for all this beautiful insights. Miguel and I learned and gained so much value from you. You're definitely killing it out there. So our last question would be, what's one advice that you would like to give to someone who is aspiring to be an entrepreneur, or advice
Business.
about life in general?
Yeah.
I have one for you guys. This is Tita Toots.
Go,
Yes,
Tita.
Tita.
You don't have to be the best. You have to be different. So always break the rules, especially on your generations.
Yeah.
Break the norm. Be crazy. You know, those crazy people, they're the one who's making money. You want to be rich, guys? Or you want to make a difference?
Both.
Make a difference.
Want to make a difference or want to make money?
I think if
Make
you
a
make a
difference.
difference, you can make money.
Safe answer. Guys, think of yourselves. Think of yourself 20 years, 10 years from now. What do you like? And then your direction should be going to that future. For example, you want to be entrepreneur, you should add value to yourself on that direction.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, always think, oh, this add value to my future or not? And guys, don't take drugs.
Yeah.
Of course.
Always be safe. Yeah.
Yes, always be safe.
Yeah. So thank you
And
so
you don't have to be the best. You have to be different.
yeah. It's a great advice. It's really great advice. Yeah. So thank you so much, Tita and Tito, for that advice. And thank you to the Paloma family for being a part of this episode. We really appreciate that. Zach and I learned so much in this episode. And I'm sure all our listeners will use these advices towards their careers and their goals in life. So to everyone listening to the Clubhouse, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Spotify. We have a post about it, so check those links and follow us and subscribe. So thank you guys for listening. Again, my name is Miguel Mendoza.
And I'm Zach Pena. See you all next Saturday for another very exciting
Wonderful.
episode.
Wonderful
Thank
episode.
you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yay!